Hello YouTube, welcome to Sunday in the shop. It is Saturday, it is barely 20 degrees outside. Last night we had about 2 inches of snow. The middle of Iowa had like a foot. We brazed this in here. We didn't want to mess with the welder today, but we've got our screwdriver rigged up in here. We kind of pried on it, kind of like this, you know, to pry up and down. I think you can get the idea without me doing it. And had it flexing up there. It's not going anywhere. I don't think this thing can get that hot to ever do that, but here, let's get some light in here. I have a video on this, you'll be seeing it, how I made this. 330 seconds rod. I cut everything with my linesman and I did not see any chips on it. This thing's still hot. I gotta be careful. It tried popping loose, so I was using this to hold it down after I got the brazing. I had to put a whole bunch of that gelled super glue in there. See how it's all white and nasty? But I cut everything right at the back. If you're gonna ruin a pair of these, cutting something you shouldn't, do it at the back. Just common sense. You'd rather have it chewed up at the back now on the front. These things are tough. I put these up against my Tecton mini bolt cutters, and these are actually harder on my hand, even though they'll chop through a lot of stuff. Don't you like how that latch works? You press on it once, it'll pop open. These were well worth the money. These are probably double the price on the internet. I noticed all these Tecton tools I bought a few years ago, within a year doubled in price. One ratchet went from $20-some to $40-some. Yeah, very pleased with these. Nice of the guy to send them to me, huh? Anyway, we want to show our torque because so many people have asked me, what have I used? Okay, I get this set of Menards, okay? This is really not Mapp Gas. It's not the way it used to be. That's what they call it. It used to be acetylene. Now it's something else. You can research it. Okay, you turn it on up there in self-ignition. I'm not going to take no pictures. You can't buy it no more. They have a hose in there where you put on any one of them torches that light, you know, self-ignition ones, but they do not sell this brand no more. Do not ask me why. Well, that is not doing any good. That's all I can tell you. If you find one on the internet, and this has that swirl tip. We showed it before. You can't see it. There's little veins there that look like a turbojet. You'll see it. They're little blades. I'll take a picture of that so you can see that. Okay. Tools I use, look at the pile. But at least they're in a pile there. I'll show you the mess I make. Any little paper schematics I draw on, I've been putting them back there with my scissors, because you're always hunting for them. I've been putting my hammers and files over here. My battery charger don't belong up there. That's not good. Of course, that hot plate ain't plugged in. So, and here's where I'm always throwing my goggles and stuff. My visor cap, goggles, mask, ear protection. So, I'll show you some of the junk. Oh, I carry this in my coat. This was bought at Harbor Freight. I had one and lost it when I had the coupon for $5. I probably gave $7 for this. It's just a simple on and off. It is a really nice flashlight to use at work, as you can tell. So, it is a nice flashlight. I really got this thing hot. I said, I may just take my quarter sheet sander and sand all this down because it's going to get blue again. So, let's stop and think. I think we're going to make a tool that I've been putting off. So, let me stop here and regroup. Okay, we still haven't decided what to do with this. Let's clean this up. I either want to make a miniature pry bar. I don't need a tack puller. You could split this with your Dremel tool, put a slot in there, and you could bend that out and make like a little tack puller. I'm sure you've seen them. You know, it's bent like a pry bar if I can find it. I've got the pry bar up here. It's bent like this, but then it looks like a claw hammer. You know, it's got that little V and a little slot for pulling tacks like out of upholstery. I haven't used this a whole lot yet, but I keep playing with my screwdriver and doing stuff because I can hammer on it. It's got the metal on the back, so I don't really need a pry bar. It's a lot of work to make a point on there when I don't really need it all. Well, let's clean it up and see what this thing looks like. We'll wrap something around here. Maybe not no aluminum, but we just don't know. Depends on, I can always cut it. I got scissors and put some aluminum tape on the wood. So, we'll be back. Okay, we took our little drill tool we have tucked away in the corner, wire brush, gray abrasive wheel, and that has black or blue polish in it. It's had both kinds in it. With our pop can around there, it looks pretty good for a tool. And this is the one we decided to leave it alone, the wood. Okay, I'm trying to use my ESP. Who's yelling make an awl, and who's yelling make just a thin pry bar? You want to jam in somewhere. What would I use most? Put a nice thin taper all the way on there if I want to cram this in somewhere. Say you want to separate a piece of wood or something, you know, something small. I have plenty of punches and things like that and pokey things. But I don't have a nice wood handled awl or nothing. Back off. I'm always too close. The camera works so good close I can't help it. You can't say my videos don't get close-up shots. My little tubbo stuff. This didn't work out. It slips. I tried making that and sticking it. It's just a... Don't make one like that. You need an actual arbor. See, like that, or like these. So, buy you something that has an arbor with it. Okay. Let's try to thin this down and see what it looks like. We're going to put some tape so we know where to stop at. We're going to go over to our belt sander, do a little bit of work, and our disc sander, and we're going to thin this out a little bit and see what it looks like when we really get it nice and thin. It might be a tool I can use. Okay, we used our belt sander, our disc sander. Then we took a file. You can still see some of the file marks. Then we took 2 different abrasive wheels. That's pretty thin. Yeah, if you look at how their screwdriver is shaped, how it always kind of humps up like halfway up through there. It's more one long, even angle. It can still be used as a screwdriver. Real thin screws. That's nice. I could use that. Nice little thin pry tool. You know you're going to get into somewhere really. There's a lot of gap there. See, you wanted to get in somewhere. So you had to get down underneath it. This is bolted down, but you know what I mean. You're going to be able to get in there pretty easy. Mini gasket scraper. There you go. We'll find one more thing before we get out of today. We're ready to go in the house. We've got it warm in here, but it's getting towards the end of the afternoon. It's time to get inside and put this in the computer and get it done and take a break today. It is nasty out. It's still not over 20 degrees. I know it's not. And with snow on the ground, it's not going to warm up much. But they're promising 40s coming up the next couple days. There's just a little bit of the remnants of that green paint left in here somewhere. There it is. You notice it was used open paint cans. And it had varnish on it. There's some of that nasty varnish. See, that looks like glue. Like I said, it'll get dirtier and darker as I use it. There's where I scraped before. Natural patina. I I do have some old tools I've just cleaned up and left alone, but I left this like this just for the fun of it. I did. You can tell it was worn down. And I don't ask you, what causes this? Too close to a grinder, hacksaw, cutter blade? I mean, what happened? Somebody marked that tool so they knew it worked with their... And look where it's dented. Somebody did some mistake there. Tuck. That's all you get. Somebody tell me what company that is. Look it up for me. You give you something to do. Anyway, it does get boring in the wintertime. I can't wait until it's nice to get outside. Okay, let's find one more thing before we leave. Okay, we'll leave with some safety tips. When I'm out here, I've got my, let me pan around, don't go too fast. I got my filter box, and I try to cut pieces with a Dremel in sand. I try to have it close to that. And that's like a woven whatever. It almost looks like, it's just some whatever cloth. It was a cloth bag, and I know it came in. It was my stainless cutting board I found at the store where it's $5 in the dumpster. Anyway, wear your mask. It's the third one probably this winter. I modify mine. It goes over and fits me good enough. I cut the bottom straps off, and then I just use the top. You find these wherever you're going to paint your house stuff for paint dust, sanding and stuff, sanding wood. Goggles. I kind of wish they didn't have holes in them. I need to get some new ones because you're trying to get scratched up. Gloves. Now beware. I watched a video where a guy was wire brushing a tool with a wire brush and a grinder wearing gloves and sleeves. No, do not do that. I would rather gouge my hand with a wire brush, and I've done it where, and it's a hard scab to get rid of. If you ever gouge yourself on a wire brush on a grinder, it will rip into you and tear your hide off. I'd rather go through that than have a broken arm or something. I've been using these for spot welding and grinding. And you see where it's caught on fire on the sun there one day. And hearing protection. So I don't run my Dremel without hearing protection. That thing's noisy. So don't use these around power tools. I wear them when I use my Dremel because when I'm dremeling, I'm hanging on to the Dremel to where I know I can get close to the tip, but you're still pushing it. I'm guilty of doing it, but not around 4.5-inch grinders and stuff. If you're gonna do it, you better be careful. And I don't use them without guards. Well, I sanding discs without guards, but I never use without a guard on the cutting disc. I had a cutting disc explode a while back outside, and I may find that piece this spring when I'm mowing somewhere in my yard. It shattered. That thing snapped it in half. But I'm planning on getting a foot switch. Now, some of the foot switches I've seen where it's on or off, I want one if I lift my foot, the grinder shuts off. Because I had a wire cut brush one time wrap up in a hoodie, and I thought it was going to strangle me. And then plastic disc with the sanding pad I showed that we never really knew they was for grinders. I had one that hit someone day that busted that plastic, and that thing jumped at me. And say, here's the grinder, right? And I'm here, and here's my face up here. That thing jumped up at me, and I took both hands and I threw it on the ground. Well, if it wasn't for my drop cord, I would let that thing kill itself. It was wrapping. It was like a fish flopping around in the water. It was spinning around down on the ground like a maniac, and I would have just let it just keep doing it if it wouldn't be for cutting into my good drop cord. And I finally burned that grinder up. I got it stuck. I think I mentioned that. My cheap grinder had a cutting disc, cutting this thin steel, and I was going along. I had it laying flat on the table. And what happened was I had a piece of metal over top of the board on that table outside. So it grabbed that board underneath. So I didn't have it over far enough. And that thing stuck. And by the time I got the switch unclicked, it already smoked it. So I want to get a foot switch. I want something that when I let my foot off, it stops. So we're going to maybe buy a cheap one at Harbor Freight and modify it so it's not just on and off with a click. Because you know you got to panic and pull your foot back. Or step back. I want something when I raise my foot back, it shuts the grinder off. Them switches on them grinders, they never should allow it. They should all paddle switches. There you go with the safety lecture. Have a good week. look forward towards some more stove videos coming up. I've been real slow progress on that, but I've been getting her done.